I'm going to share my screen now. Yeah, so let's get started. So today we're going to be looking at HTML, CSS, then we're going to be looking at JavaScript. We're going to be building something that we can feel, something we can feel with our eyes, something we can appreciate. So as a developer, we'll be looking at C#, which we normally use to build the backend and some distributed applications like games and other things. Can also use C# for desktop applications. But today we're going to be learning the language of the web, the language that we can use to create websites. So all those web applications that you see whenever you go on the internet, on Google, most of them have elements of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in them. And we're going to be looking at that. And for us to do that, we're going to let's create a folder first so that it can contain our work. So I'm going to click here and click on folder. I'm going to call it HTML, which is the first thing we're going to be learning. And inside this HTML, I'm going to create a file. And I'm going to call it index.html. So every HTML file that you create, you must end it with HTML. So that shows that it is HTML file. And we are building a web application now. So I want you to watch closely and see for every HTML document, it must start with this HTML tag. This is known as a tag. Okay, that I have my stuff the right way. Okay, so it's gonna start with HTML tag. So a tag is simply when you write something inside these angle brackets. They are known as tags. So you must start and end with HTML tag. So how do you know an opening HTML tag, the one that does not have a slash? The one that has a slash is the closing HTML tag. So this is very, very important that every HTML document that you create must start and close with HTML. Now, inside the starting and closing HTML, you must now have what we call the head and then the body, just like you have in a human being. So you need to have the word head of the HTML. And once you have the head of the HTML, the next thing you're going to have is the body of the HTML. This is very, very important that you understand this structure because HTML gives the web application the structure. CSS gives it the styling and makes it look beautiful. So we're going to be looking at this. Now, once you have the head and the body, the head is where you put the title, the body is where you write everything that you see in the HTML document. So in this head, I'm going to put the title there. Just like you have in your head, you have the eyes. So the eyes is like the title. So I'm going to write this, the title. So you write title. So you can also always see that every tag has opening and closing. So inside the title now is where you put the title of your website. So I'm going to call this website our first web page. That's the title. Then inside the body is where you write everything you want to be contained in your website. So for this, I'm going to write inside the header, I'm going to write welcome to our first web page. So this is what we call, now we have a full functional website. I'm going to press Ctrl S to save. So I've done Ctrl S, so this is saved. So this is the basic simple HTML page. So we're going to run this, and once we run this, we know that we are in. Okay, so to run a simple HTML application, how do you run HTML application? Now, you're going to first of all find out where this application is saved. So I'm going to go to my folder. This is my folder. I'll go to document because that's where I know I saved this C# program. So I'm going to scroll to my works folder. This works folder is where I store everything I'm working on, my private works. So I'm going to go to C# React course, which is where I've been building. Then I'm going to look for HTML folder that I created. Then this is index.html. So to run it, you simply double click on this file. So it's going to ask you what you want to open it with. Me, I'm going to open it with Google Chrome. Okay, so you can see welcome to our first web page. So why this class we are having today is going to be powerful is because everything you're creating, you're going to be able to see the effect, you're going to see the result, you're going to be able to appreciate what you're doing. So you can see welcome to our first page, which is what I put in the body. Then what I put on the title, this is where I see it, our first web page. You can see it here. This is where you put what you see in the title, what you see in the body. Okay, so I'm going to go back now. I'm going to make some changes. So instead of having our first web page as the title, I'm going to call this, the title now is going to be Ostino. That's the title now. Then the body here, instead of welcome to our first page, I'm going to say this is a web application built by Augustine and the students. So once I finish this, I'm going to do Control S to save. I'm just saving it. Then once I save it and I come back to this web page, I'll go here. You can see here, and I'll just refresh. So you can see that now what we're having here is this is web application built by Augustine and the students. Then here now, the title is now Ostine. So this is the first website I will build. Now, when you open other websites like this, my website now, this is the this Educator Africa website that we normally work with. That is how the website was also built from scratch. If you look at it from scratch, you're going to find out that you are actually, as the programmer, you're writing codes like this. This is HTML code. And when you run this code, this is what you see as the result. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back here now. And I'm going to, inside this body, I'm going to give space and I'm going to say BG color. So BG color simply stands for background color. BG means background. So I'm going to say that the BG color is equal to red. Then once I do that, I'm going to do Control S to save. Then I'll come back here. Then I'll refresh this so that you see what this does. You can see now the background color is now red. So your work as a developer is to keep changing this code. And as you're changing this code, you'll be seeing the effect when you run the code. And that is exactly how all the applications you're seeing in the world, both your Facebook, you're seeing everything. Somebody's wrote the code at the background, and when you run the code, either by deploying it in a cloud server, then it's going to give you this output. So that is why I said that we are going to, the class we are entering now, which is the front end, is going to be very interactive because you're going to learn a lot. Now, I'm using Hedge1 for this. So I'm going to, instead of having this, I'm going to have this in paragraphs, in p tags, and not H1. So instead of H1, I'm going to put it in p tags. So this p tag is what shows, these tags are what shows it is what shows the structure. So if I go back now, this You can see that this is bold because it's in H1. But now I've changed it to P. P simply means paragraph, so it's going to be small. So if I refresh again now, you can see it is now smaller, like normal write-ups. Now, since I have it in the small, I'm going to now come here and put the H1 now. So you can have up to H1, H2, H plenty. So I can now have this as the H1 and call it Ostino Web. So I will now save this. Then when I go back, I'm going to have the Ostino Web in H1 and I'll have the other one in paragraph. You can see that this is looking more like it. It's starting to look like a website. So the gradual putting in using of the gradual usage of these tags is what you can use in creating this website. So once you once you deploy this website, you're gonna see that it will start working. So now I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna use what we call ahref. Ahref. So ahref is when you want to link one side to the one page to another. So I'm gonna have another page and I'm gonna call that page what will I call this page? Okay, let's start with this first. I want you guys to try this out before we can continue, so that I will know that you because this is a purely practical class, and I want you guys to follow. So this is how you create a website. I told us number one, this is HTML website. So for every HTML document, it must start with opening tag HTML and close with closing tag HTML. What I mean by closing tag HTML is once you're writing the HTML tag, there has to be forward slash before you write the HTML. Then inside it, you have the head and the body. Then inside the body, you have the title, which stays on top. So the title is whatever you see here, that is the title. You can see us title. This Google Meet is the title here. This training table is the title here. This course is the title. Google Meet is the title here. This code is for my work. You can see it. So everything you see on top there is the title. So for you to put in something as a title there, you have to put it in the title tab. Then every other thing you have in your website stays in the body. And inside this body, you have to use different elements. And each element has a tag that represents it. This is H1 simply means heading 1. If you have H6, it's going to be more smaller. There you have from H1 to H2 to H6. Okay, so if I now say say H3, I can use that and say welcome to my first. Okay, I think that makes sense. So if I save this and I go back, you're going to see that the H3, what is written inside H3 is smaller than that of H1. So you can see this is H3. So depending on what you want to produce, that informs the tag that you will use. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a whole lot of other tags, but I want us to get this first, the simple basic structure of the HTML. So, IT, I don't know whether you want to try this out. You want to try this out?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. You want to
I
try?
should try.
Yeah. Just try to
the-
do the basic HTML, like the just get something on HTML done. Just create this folder that I said called HTML. Then inside it have index.html. Then do this before we move forward. So that I know that you grab this because this is gonna be particle classes one things for. You wanna try it?
All right, no problem.
Okay, so you can share your screen and let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing momentarily.
Uh, um, Sorry, I'm currently not using my laptop now because, but
Okay.
okay, I'm coming.
Okay, you want to start up your laptop?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, no problem. I'll give you time. I'll give you time.
Kind of slow. Okay, coming.
Yeah. So you're going to create a folder, call it HTML. Then inside the folder, create another file, call it index.html. Then that is where you're going to write your code. So if you want to create a folder, you can click on the last stuff there. So that, no. You see, putting it inside another thing. Click on the last stuff that you have there. That might something blah, blah, blah. Down. So that it doesn't go inside another thing. No, go down. No, do Control B to bring back what you took out. Good. Click on Control B. Good. Put that down. Good. Go to the last thing you have there, my something. Last one. No, last thing. Last. No. Good. Click there. Then you can now click on the folder icon to create a folder so that it doesn't go inside another thing. Good. So type in now HTML. Perfect. HTML. You can write all in small letter or all in capital letter. Then you can now click the file so that it automatically creates it inside that since that folder is already selected. Good. So write index, all in small letter, index.html. Index.html. So it must end with .html. C sharp program, all of them end with .cs, which means C sharp. So if you start learning Python, it's gonna end with .py to show that it's a Python file. If you're doing Java, it's gonna end .java to show that you're coding in Java. So the extension shows the language you're coding in. Okay, so you can now start. So if you type in HTML opening tag, HTML closing tag, the head that encloses the title, and the body that has the content of the website. So that is the basics of every web application. Every website has the origin of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in most cases. And we're going to be looking at all these languages: HTML, which represents the structure, CSS, which represents the styling, and JavaScript, which represents the functionality that you add to the website. Okay, so we're going to be looking at all that. Okay, yeah. So continue.
Ebenezer, it fails on Android. I've added a comment in the PR. Okay. Oh. When you say analytic related, like the Google Analytics.